But no, I see Mr. Esati is here as one of the participants here. If you have any questions, no questions.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
It's an open discussion.
About anything.
I mean, you can ask any question. Yes, you're a candidate, but you're still, you're still a bona fide member of this society. So you're free to ask any questions.
I'm good, thank you.
Maybe Dr. Leung has a question from the
audience. No, that is not the norm of this thing.
It's, I mean, I'm sure we'll have a lot of opportunity to speak in leading up to the election, whenever it is. So.
I have no better sense of it than the rest from different sources that there are 9% Iranians in the Villadale.
9% Iranian?
9% Iranians in the Villadale.
Yes.
That sounds, according to what you have from government, to be realistic. We see at the surface it seems that there are more. Because we see a lot of shops in this area, but
that's only on Young Street.
Young Street. Do you have any idea of what in your constituency Iranian numbers are about? Because that's the 9% that I read in different places. I thought it would be more, but apparently it's not.
I think across Canada there is about 300.
That's what I
300,000 Iranians. Yeah, but you see. Again, as you all know, the West looks at Iran, as it does with many other nations, and treat almost everybody the same. Like all Iranians the same. But that is not true. I mean, in Iran, you have people who come here. Anyway, let me break right now and recognize the minister.
How are you?
How are you, Pierre?
Good to see you.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
I'm Pierre.
Poilievre. Est-ce que je prononce
Exactement.
Oui,
exactement.
Parce que je parle français un bon petit peu.
Oui, merci. Félicitations, je l'apprécie.
And nous sommes l'association American Ethnic Tourism, and I was not expecting to have such a young member of.
Oh, that's very kind of you to say.
But these are
not only is he young, but he actually looks younger than me.
Oh yeah, okay.
Very nice of you to say that.
Right. Sit up here.
There were more people here, but there was a bit of contention.
There was contention.
Very good contention.
Let me just summarize what happened. Basically, it was an open forum. I said I was prepared to address any issue that they have on immigration, citizenship, foreign policy, election fairness, pre-budget consultation, and so on, and so on. The discussion essentially centered around Canada's stance vis-a-vis Iran, in that we closed down their embassy in Tehran, they closed their embassy here,
yes,
and also on our immigration policy, which some of the other participants deemed it to be selective and well, in their word, racist. And I denied that. I said that's absolutely not true, because we select on the basis of point systems. We select on the basis of, in fact, that you're Iranian makes no difference whether you're Iranian Muslim or whether you're Syrian Muslim or so on. It's all based on how many points you achieve. And yes, if you consider the fact that we want to raise our English standard, I think that is our prerogative. And so the argument or the discussion went down to a point that this is, well, your immigration policy is not transparent. And I said, well, I think Canada retains the right to, yes, we will evaluate all immigrants all immigrant applicants on basis of points, but there is still a subjective a little bit of subjective decision that is at the hands of the immigration officers around the world. That is that they can choose who will be successful in Canada. And I think, for those reasons, in any policy, there's no 100% transparency because after all, it is a human factor that at the end that makes that decision. So anyway, so that's I guess a few of the members didn't like what I said, so they departed.
How many is a few?
Five.
Oh, yeah.
Five.
Yeah. No, but people, it was not a little more, but there is also a consensus among Iranians that the conservative government is being very much over-favoring Israel, the government of Israel. And that's what, obviously all Middle Easterns are not happy with that. It's a fact.
Right.
And I also have to introduce you that the candidate for
Very
Rodale,
nice to meet you.
Ali Assessi, is the Liberal.
Ali Assessi.
Very nice to meet
You as well. And Willowdale.
you. Yes.
Excellent. That's great. Who serves in Willowdale right now?
The gentleman to your left.
Okay, that's why I'm confused. So I guess you're being carved up in redistribution.
Oh, in the redistribution, I lost 40% of my ridings to Gandhi North, which will be handled by Joe Daniel, and I retain the traditional Willowdale.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Willowdale is a riding that is probably 70–80% visible minority immigrant population.
Okay.
I would say 25% Chinese, 10% Korean, 9 or 10% Iranian, 10% Russian, and probably the other 30–40% second generation Canadians of various country of origins.
Actually, when I was an insider of the Liberal Party, our statistic was that by now there would be 34% Chinese in the old boundaries of the region.
Oh, okay.
Now, and 10% Iranians, and then Koreans, maybe replaced on 8 or 9%. So it's been always, as far as I've been involved with this area, with the politics and voting since late 80s. And there have always been the ministers from here, the Attorney General especially. Before it was a bit way more, less diverse than now. But now it is. It's all over the world are living in this particular quadrant.
Okay.
So anyway, so I'll turn it forward to you. Maybe you can do a little preamble on your specialty ministry.
Sure.
What the election changes are, and then the rest is we'll both field questions as is asked.
And just one last question about the composition. Is there a strong Scottish community?
I am performing tonight at the
he's an honorary Scottish Canadian. Plays bagpipes. Yeah. And he wears a kilt too.
I know he's well versed in
It's a cold day to be wearing a kilt out there. Okay.
Are you serious?
That's why pantyhose were invented.
That's right.
By the way, what do you do?
So I'm a member of Parliament for Nepean Carleton, which is in Ottawa, and Minister of Democratic Reform. So the legislation for which I'm responsible is the Election Act, and I've recently reformed it to require people bring ID when they vote. We have also brought in a new robocall registry. You know the recorded messages you get now. If you get any in the election, the person making them will have to record those with the regulators so that we don't have people spreading false information to mislead voters on where to go and cast their ballots. We brought in stronger penalties for those who break election laws, and we've eliminated unreliable forms of identification that were allowed in the last election, like the voter information card. It will continue to be available to provide voters with information where to vote, but it will not be an acceptable form of ID to inform the local Elections Canada officials of your identity. So you will need identity in the next election. Make sure to bring it with you when you cast your ballot. But on a broader level, we're very interested as a government in promoting freedom and liberty around the world. That is why Canada has stood strong for human rights in Iran. We we're among the leading countries advocating for the sanctions regime targeted at the Iranian government. We have been lead sponsors on resolutions for every year over the last decade to condemn the human rights record of the Iranian government. And at the same time, we are sponsoring a digital strategy to help reach dissident Iranians with information about how they can spread the ideas of freedom within their borders using technology. So those are some of the things we're doing that are particularly of interest to the people of Iran, and we'll continue to take those important steps. We have a principled foreign policy. We don't go along to get along, so we do support democratic countries. We oppose terrorism. We've joined with our allies to combat ISIS, which up until the bombing campaign of which we're a part had rampaged right across the Euphrates Valley and taken over much of ancient Mesopotamia from northeastern Syria all the way down to almost Baghdad. And as a result, the expansion of that terrorist body has been halted. They are no longer able to operate out in the open, and it gives the opportunity for the Kurds, the Iraqis, and other Iranian forces to fight back on the ground against these terrorists. So we know that if we don't combat them over there, then they will attack us over here. We've had 2 followers of ISIS carry out terrorist attacks, one in Saint-Jean, Quebec, and the other, of course, on Parliament Hill, where both CS and I were together in a room not much different than this one when the gunshots went off. So that is our foreign policy and security agenda. But I'm prepared to speak to you on any public policy area that is interesting to you. And I thank you very much for your time.
Saeed is a very active journalist, very well informed. I definitely want to add.
Yes, Saeed.
I appreciate
please, Saeed.
Appreciate your time and your concern. We don't have any problem with actually, as a Canadian, we appreciate your stand on ISIS. But there are something that I guess that doesn't go through because, unfortunately, to my knowledge, the sources of the Canadian government. They are a misconception that because Iranian regime is not democratic, so the opposition is democratic, and they don't listen to them. But the majority of Iranian Canadian, they dislike the opposition more than the regime. This is very important. I mean that the Mujahideen, who is main source of the conservative will last from 2006, I remember that one-time Minister of State, Mr. Stockdale, was in their meeting, and even he spoke Farsi. In 2006, it was in one hotel in downtown Core. So the point is that, for instance, the water, the clean water, the medicine, the food is the basic human rights. But the point is that with the sanction that is imposed by the United Nations and especially by Canada over that, nobody can send, for instance, medicine to Iran because no bank is going to open the account for you, and none of the big international shipment or take responsibility to take the wheat and the medicine to Iran. So you have to ship.
You mean to Iran or to
Iran?
To Iran.
Iran, yes. Okay. Then you have to send it, for instance, wheat. If you buy it, you have to send to Dubai or Kuwait, which is going to increase the price of wheat. And you know that Supreme Leader doesn't eat wheat. He has the best food, so the same as North Korea or anybody else. Ordinary people do the bread and those kind of things. So it is hurting them over there and hurting the Iranian Canadian community here. This is one issue. I guess that this, as a comment that I would like to tell to the government. The other thing is that, see, if you do the fight on the air, I mean that if you do the airplane attack by the air, you have to have some ground personnel. Exactly 2 days ago, the president of the prime minister of Iraq in United Nations, I guess, and president of the Kurdistan of Iraq, both publicly they told that the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, they saved Mosul and they rescued those big cities and oil factory from the ISIS. So it means that nobody can deny the influence of the Iranian regime over there. And when John Bird going over there and telling that, okay, we give you $15 million for the security personnel and those things, when Iranian regime has almost $10 billion of trade, you think that which country, they listen to Canada or to Iran, which they are neighbors? For sure, the same as we have to consider the United States. So I urge you at least to have more access to the grassroots of the Iranian, and at least to have more open panel and listen more, get more information or more ideas from the different walk of life of the Iranian Canadian community. It is good for the conservative government, for the Canada, and for the community too. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you wanted to summarize that, in very short term, what would that be? Because I was going to write it, I couldn't. What is the summary?
If I want to summarize, I will say that I will suggest the state prime minister to change the respected John Bird with a more influential and more knowledgeable person in Middle East. So
Yes, that is.
but it is
Don't
not my
summarize
business.
it. Don't summarize it.
So, yeah, like Lawrence Cannon was more capable of knowing the Middle East. He was foreign minister when he was elected, and it was minority, but then they changed it to one of the I guess that one of the weakness of the Canadian foreign policy is that they changed so much of the foreign ministers, and all the foreign ministers of the big powers, they stay 10 years, 20 years, 15 years, at least 5 years in one position, because it is very important. We have changed 7 foreign ministry in 8 years. Peter MacKay, Lawrence Cannon, John Bird, before that there were 2 or 3 other guys, 6 months old.
No, since the Conservative we only have 3.
No more.
Peter MacKay and...
I don't think it's 8.
No,
There.
5 or 6 months.
No, since 2006 we have only 3.